How do I look? Splendid.
Circus stars are not just entertainers. They are like miracles of nature. They make the circus stage a canvas for human art that seems to defy the laws of physics. But what's more shocking is how real they can make their illusions and stunts appear. Join us as we unravel some of the most incredible circus acts ever performed by circus freaks you never thought existed. Number 10. General Tom Thumb. In the 17th century, the story of Tom Thumb, a boy as tiny as his father's thumb, was just a tale. But in the 19th century, P.T. Barnum made this fantasy real when he discovered Charles Stratton, turning him into the unforgettable General Tom Thumb. Born in Bridgeport, Connecticut, on January 4, 1838, Charles seemed like any other child until he stopped growing at 6 months, reaching only 25 inches tall and 15 pounds. Despite his size, he was a witty and charming child. In 1842, during a winter storm that stranded Barnum in Bridgeport, he heard about Charles and saw an opportunity. He offered to showcase Charles at his museum in New York City for $3 a week, marking the beginning of General Tom Thumb's remarkable journey. Barnum named him after the English fairy tale, but added General to give him a grand title. He created a fictional backstory claiming Charles was from England and brought to America at great expense, adding to the intrigue. Under Barnum's mentorship, Charles became a skilled performer, touring the United States and Europe. Audiences were charmed by his humor and wit, especially his Napoleon impersonation, which became a sensation. A performance for Queen Victoria brought them fame and fortune. Charles even invested in real estate and built a house tailored to his size in East Bridgeport. He performed for President Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War and married Lavinia Warren Bump, another small person, in a grand event that captivated the nation. The newlyweds embarked on a 3-year working honeymoon, entertaining audiences worldwide. By the time they returned to Bridgeport, Charles had performed in front of more people than anyone before the television era. He turned what many saw as a disadvantage into a remarkable achievement, living a life filled with yachting, horse breeding, and mingling with the most famous people of his time. Number 9. The famous Elephant Man. Joseph Merrick, famously known as the Elephant Man, is one of the most well-known figures in circus and freak shows in history. Merrick suffered from a condition believed to be Proteus syndrome, which caused severe deformities in his body. Although it was initially thought to be elephantiasis, Merrick's condition is now believed to have been Proteus syndrome, a rare genetic disorder causing abnormal growth of bones, skin, and tissues.
I am not an animal!
Born in Leicester, England in 1862, Merrick started showing symptoms of his disorder early in life. As a child, he developed abnormally large, lumpy skin and bone deformities that made his appearance significantly different from others. Despite his deformities, Merrick was known to be intelligent and sensitive, with a deep desire for human connection and acceptance. In his 20s, Merrick joined the traveling circus as a way to support himself financially after his mother's death and neglect from his father. In the circus, he was called the Elephant Man, referencing the large, rough growths on his skin that resembled an elephant's hide. Although his time in the circus was challenging, with long hours of display and frequent public reviews, it provided Merrick with independence and the chance to meet people who would change his life. One such person was surgeon Frederick Travis, who arranged for Merrick to be admitted to the London hospital after seeing him in a sideshow in London.
The varying fibrous tumors that cover 90% of the body.
At the hospital, Merrick was treated with kindness and respect. He lived with his relatives until his death. He received visits from high society individuals, including actress Madge Kendall and Princess Alexandra of Wales, which offered him social acceptance and companionship he had never known before. Merrick's story is a powerful reminder of both cruelty and kindness in humanity. Despite the harshness of his life, he showed remarkable resilience and dignity. He was not just great in the freak show, he was a man with a good heart that everyone was looking out for during any circus shows. Merrick's legacy continues to remind us of the importance of empathy and recognizing the fundamental humanity in all people, regardless of their physical appearance. Number 8. Cranky Lobster Boy. Grady Stiles, Jr., better known as Lobster Boy, was a unique figure in the sideshow circuit of the mid-20th century. Everyone knows him for his inborn condition known as ectrodactyly, which gave his hands and feet a claw-like appearance. Born in 1937 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Stiles was destined to follow in the footsteps of his ancestors, who were also lobster people, with the condition running in his family since the 1840s. From a young age, Stiles was introduced to the world of sideshows, where he displayed his unique hands and feet as a means of self-support. His physical deformity became his defining feature and the source of his livelihood. However, his life was far from simple, as he faced hardships, including a stint in the workhouse after his mother's death and his father's neglect. Despite these challenges, Stiles became a popular attraction in sideshows, carnivals, and later in his own touring showcases. His appearances drew large crowds wherever he performed, capturing the attention of audiences fascinated by his unusual physical appearance. Unlike many of his peers, who was remembered for their kind hearts and resilience, Stiles was infamous for his violent and unpredictable behavior. Throughout his life, he had alcohol daily, which often fueled his violent tendencies. This aggression extended to physical violence towards his family, which led to the murder of his daughter's fiancé.
I worked for the Lobster Boy in some ways.
Instead of feet, I was born with the flippers or the fillers of a lobster.
Stiles' actions led to him being shunned by the sideshow community, which was known for accepting those who society had rejected. Despite being convicted for his crimes, Stiles never served prison time due to the inability of prisons to accommodate his physical condition. Instead, he was given 15 years of probation, during which his violent tendencies continued. This eventually led to his own murder in 1992, which was carried out by his wife, Maria, and a hired hitman, Chris Wyant, signaling a tragic end to an already troubled life. Stiles' story is a dark and complex chapter in the history of the circus freak show, serving as a potent reminder that the world of the freak show was not always one of acceptance and camaraderie, but could also be a place of manipulation, violence, and tragedy. Stiles is remembered not just for his unusual physicality, but also for the destructive path he chose. His story underscores the reality that behind the show of the sideshow, the performers were real people, each with their own stories, struggles, and, in Stiles' case, demons. His story highlights the need to look beyond the physical deformities that initially defined these performers, to see the diverse and complex human experiences that lie beneath. Even more than a century after his death, the story of Lobster Boy continues to captivate. Number 7. Ella Harper, the Camel Girl. In 1886, a young woman named Ella Harper made a remarkable entrance onto the New York City circus scene, captivating audiences with her unusual condition. Her knees bent outward, causing her to walk on all fours like a camel. This rare trait earned her the nickname Camel Girl, and her act quickly became a sensation, attracting huge crowds eager to see her stunning acrobatic skills. Ella was born on January 5, 1870, in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Her father, William Harper, was a well-known farmer. Sadly, Ella's twin brother Everett passed away when he was only 3 months old. She also had 3 other siblings, Sally, Willie, and Jessie. At the age of just 12 in 1882, Ella began her circus career, starting in cities like St. Louis and New Orleans before traveling to different states. People were happy by her unique way of walking. By 1886, Ella had joined the Nickel Plate Circus, thanks to showman W.H. Harris. During her performances, she was often accompanied by a camel, which shows the similarities between her knees and a camel's. This led to her being called the Camel Girl, with some people even believing she was part human and part camel. Ella's fame grew rapidly due to her exceptional talents, and her image appeared on numerous posters. Before each show, cards were handed out to the audience detailing her special condition. These cards showcased Ella's life as the Camel Girl, featuring images of her knees bending backward and demonstrating her ability to walk on all fours using both her hands and feet. The cards also revealed that she had been touring for 4 years, impressing people everywhere with her skills. Despite her success, Ella surprised everyone by leaving the circus in 1886. She had bigger plans than just performing. She wanted to go to school. Before her departure, Ella made sure people saw her show, as she had become a popular and lucrative act, earning around $200 every week, which was a substantial amount back then, equivalent to approximately $5,000 today. At the young age of 16, Ella chose to leave the circus to focus on her education. Her departure marked the end of her circus days, and she used her earnings to lead a private life, leaving many curious about her future endeavors. Number 6. The fearsome, three-legged man. Francesco Lentini was born in Sicily in 1889 with a rare condition that gave him an extra leg. But this wasn't just any extra leg, it was fully functional, complete with its own foot and toes. As Francesco grew, his extra leg grew longer than his other two, giving him a truly unique appearance. Despite his unusual condition, Francesco was a joyful and curious child. He loved nothing more than exploring the countryside, climbing trees, and playing with his friends. His extra leg even proved useful at times, especially when he needed an extra balance while playing soccer. As Francesco's fame spread, people came to see the boy with 3 legs. Some were curious about his unique appearance, while others were impressed by his agility and skills. A traveling circus heard about Francesco's extraordinary condition. They approached his family and asked if Francesco would like to join the circus as a performer. At first, Francesco was unsure. He had never been away from home, and the idea of traveling with a circus seemed daunting. After much thought, Francesco decided to join the circus. He saw it as a chance to explore the world and showcase his talents to a larger audience. The circus promised to take good care of him and provide a comfortable life. Francesco's first performance was a sensation. Crowds cheered at his agility and how he could kick a soccer ball with his extra leg. He became known as the man with 3 legs. As the years passed, Francesco became a star attraction, traveling to different cities and countries with the circus. Despite his fame, he remained humble and kind, always taking time for his fans. Eventually, Francesco met and fell in love with Maria. They married and had children, whom Francesco adored. He was a devoted husband and father, always putting his family first. Amidst his fame, Lentini found love and married Teresa Murray, raising 4 healthy children together. He continued his performance for over 40 years, performing with renowned circuses and sideshows like Barnum and Bailey and Coney Island. However, societal views began to change in the late 1930s, with laws against displaying deformed human beings. Lentini believed performing was often the only way to make a living. In 1926, Lentini and Teresa bought a home in Wethersfield, Connecticut, where they lived as listed residents by 1930. Despite changing times, Lentini embraced his role as a circus performer, earning him the nickname The King among his peers. He continued to tour until his passing at 78 in 1966, leaving behind a legacy that went beyond the circus tent. Number 5. Fedor Jeftichu Jojo, the dog-faced boy. In the 19th century, Fedor Jeftichu faced a unique destiny due to his rare genetic condition, hypertrichosis, which covered his face and body in a fine layer of hair. Exploited by a circus producer, Fedor was labeled Jojo, the dog-faced boy, a name that became popular in the media. Hypertrichosis, lacking a scientific explanation at the time, was believed to indicate atavism, a throwback to animal traits. Adrian Jeftichu, a married man with 2 children, also had hypertrichosis, drawing interest from Moscow anthropologists. Adrian's unique appearance led to an unexpected partnership with Fedor, another hypertrichosis sufferer. Marketed as father and son, they became a sensation at local fairs. Adrian adopted Fedor, taking him under his wing, and their duo flourished, catching the eye of an entrepreneur. In 1883, the Jeftichus embarked on a global tour, captivating European audiences in Paris and Berlin. Adrian, relishing his newfound fame, made diva-like demands in their contracts. However, he fell in love with alcohol, leaving Fedor to continue alone. Fedor's journey continued when Phineas Barnum, a renowned U.S. businessman, invited him to join his circus. Now known as JoJo, Fedor became a star in the greatest show on earth. His fame spread across America, with a Kentucky newspaper hailing him as one of the most interesting freaks alive in 1886. JoJo, the dog-faced boy, became the star of P.T. Barnum's show. However, behind the scenes, a false story was created to bring more people to come watch his show. It was claimed that he was discovered in a Russian forest, living with a wolf-like father and tamed by Barnum. JoJo would growl, show his teeth, and even chew raw meat for the audience. In reality, JoJo was polite, educated, and humble. He had a passion for languages and reading. Despite the show's narrative, he never had a family of his own. After nearly 20 years of performing, JoJo began to feel homesick. He wrote letters to the Russian consulate inquiring about his mother. However, Barnum, keen to keep his star attraction, prevented him from retiring. JoJo had no choice but to continue performing. In 1903, while touring in Greece, JoJo fell ill with pneumonia and passed away. The man who fascinated crowds with his unique appearance and the fictional tale of his past met a tragic end. The bright lights that once showcased JoJo's life in the circus faded away, marking the conclusion of his extraordinary journey. Number 4. The legendary Siamese twins, Chong and Eng Bunker, the famous Siamese twins. Born in a small village in Thailand in 1811, these twins were connected by a 15-centimeter band of flesh and cartilage at the sternum, making surgery to separate them impossible due to their shared liver. Their journey into the spotlight began when a curious British merchant, Robert Hunter, discovered them at the age of 17. From there, they became known as the Siamese Double Boys, captivating audiences in America and Europe with their unique bodies and remarkable coordination. However, Chang and Eng were more than just a physical marvel. They were smart promoters, taking control of their act and finances. By 1839, they had not only gathered more money than they ever dream of, but also become American citizens. They retired from performing and settled on a farm in North Carolina, living under the name of the Bunker family. Their post-circus life was fascinating. Despite being joined, they chose to live separately, yet together. They each got married, built their own houses, and followed a routine of alternating 3-day stays with their families. This unusual arrangement surprised many, but brought harmony to the brothers' lives. Living in North Carolina, Chang and Eng thrived. They were not only happy, but also contributed to their community, fathering an incredible 21 children between them, creating one of the largest extended families in the area. During the Civil War, they faced difficulties and returned to performing for a time. However, after the war, they struggled financially. They considered separation, but in 1871, Chang's stroke worsened their health. Chang passed away in 1874 from a brain clot, and Eng, always anxious, died shortly after from shock. They were laid to rest at White Plains Baptist Church in Surry County. Their legacy as pioneers in the world of entertainment and their unique bond continue to intrigue people to this day. Number 3. Schlitzie the Pinhead. Schlitzie the Pinhead, whose real name was Simon Metz, was a remarkable figure in the world of sideshows and circuses during the early 20th century. Born in 1901 in the United States, Schlitzie became one of the most famous performers with microcephaly, a condition characterized by a small head and intellectual disabilities. Despite his physical and cognitive challenges, Schlitzie's life story is a good example of hard work, the human spirit, and the complexities of exploitation and acceptance. From a young age, Schlitzie's unique appearance made him a target of curiosity. His condition caused him to have a small skull, which gave him a childlike appearance throughout his life. Despite his physical limitations, Schlitzie was known for his kind and gentle nature, endearing him to those who knew him. His career in sideshows began when he was discovered by showman George Surtees. Surtees recognized his potential as an attraction and took him under his wing, giving him the stage name Schlitzie the Pinhead. This name was derived from the term pinhead, which was used to describe individuals with microcephaly in sideshow terminology. As Schlitzy's fame grew, he became a popular act in circuses and sideshows across the United States. Audiences were both fascinated by his appearance and charmed by his innocence and childlike demeanor. Despite his inborn gift for his performances, his ability to connect with people on a human level made him a beloved figure among his fans. One of Schlitzy's most famous appearances was in the 1932 film Freaks, directed by Todd Browning. The film, which featured a cast of real-life sideshow performers, including Schlitzy, was controversial for its portrayal of individuals with physical disabilities. While the film was not well received at the time of its release, it has since gained a cult following and is regarded as a classic of early horror cinema. Despite his success, his life was not without its challenges. Like many individuals with disabilities during that time, he faced discrimination and exploitation. However, his story also highlights moments of compassion and acceptance. He was cared for by his family and supported by his fellow performers, who saw him as a member of their community. In many ways, Schlitzy's story is a reflection of the complexities of human nature. While he was often exploited for his appearance, he was also loved and accepted by those who knew him. Number 2, Chang and Eng Bunker. Chang and Eng Bunker, the original Siamese twins, were born in 1811 in Siam, which is now Thailand. They were the most famous conjoined twins of their time, and their fame persists to this day. In fact, the term Siamese twins entered the English language because of them, becoming synonymous with conjoined twins. Physically, Chang and Eng were joined at the sternum by a band of flesh and cartilage, and they shared fused livers. Despite being physically connected, they were two distinct individuals with their own personalities and temperaments. Discovered at a young age by British merchant Robert Hunter and American sea captain Abel Coffin, the twins were seen as a unique spectacle. They were contracted into the sideshow business at just 17 years old, starting their career as exhibits in sideshows, carnivals, and later their own touring showcases. They became international celebrities, drawing large crowds wherever they went. Unlike many others in similar positions, Chang and Eng managed to amass considerable wealth during their career. They were savvy businessmen, negotiating contracts and managing their brand. Eventually, they gained control over their act, which gave them more autonomy and dignity. After a successful career in show business, Chang and Eng retired to North Carolina in the United States. There, they adopted the last name Bunker and led surprisingly conventional lives. They became American citizens, bought property, and even owned slaves, which is a dark and controversial aspect of their history. Both brothers married sisters, Adelaide and Sarah Yates, and together they fathered a total of 21 children, some of whom joined them on their later tours. What makes the Bunker twins' story remarkable is not just their unique physical bond, but the extraordinary lives they led. Despite being perpetual outsiders, they managed to carve out a space for themselves in society and were astute enough to turn their physical differences into a lucrative career. Their lives raise complex questions about identity, integration, and exploitation as they navigate between their Eastern origins and Western lives, their individual identities and their physical union, and their exploitation in freak shows, and their agency in manipulating such spaces for personal gain. The Bunker twins passed away on the same day in 1874, fittingly together till the end. They are remembered not just for their distinctive physicality, but for their resilience, adaptability, and the unprecedented life they forged in the face of societal adversity. Even more than a century after their death, the lives of Chang and Eng Bunker continue to captivate, serving as a potent reminder of the multifaceted nature of the human condition. Number 1, Julia Pastrana, the Bearded Lady. Julia Pastrana, often promoted as the Bearded Lady or the Baboon Lady, was a notable figure in the 19th century sideshow scene. Born in Mexico in 1834, she had two rare genetic conditions: hypertrichosis, causing excessive hair growth all over her body, and gingival hyperplasia, which thickened her lips and gums. From a young age, Pastrana's unique appearance made her a subject of curiosity. Sold by her uncle to a circus, she traveled to the United States, where she met Theodore Lent, a showman who became her manager and husband. Lent recognized the potential in showcasing Pastrana's appearance and exhibited her in shows across Europe and North America. Pastrana's performances included singing and dancing, revealing her as a talented performer with a beautiful voice, contrasting sharply with the spectacle made of her physical appearance. Despite being marketed as the ugliest woman in the world, Pastrana was fluent in 3 languages and known for her intelligence and gentle personality. However, she was exhibited as a freak, captivating audiences with her unique appearance. The exploitation of Pastrana did not end with her premature death in 1860 from childbirth complications. Her husband, displaying a chilling lack of ethics, had her and their newborn son, who inherited her conditions and died shortly after birth, embalmed and displayed their mummified bodies in exhibitions for over a century until they were finally laid to rest in Pastrana's native Mexico in 2013. Julia Pastrana's story is a sad story of exploitation, objectification, and commodification. Throughout her life and beyond, she was denied the agency and respect she deserved as a human being. Despite the indignities she suffered, she retained her grace and dignity, displaying a strength of character that defied her public image. Her legacy serves as a reminder of the depths to which society can sink in its treatment of those who are different, yet it also underscores the resilience and fortitude of the human spirit. Today, Julia Pastrana's story calls on us to challenge societal norms of beauty and advocate for the humane and dignified treatment of all people, regardless of their physical appearance. Her life, filled with both talent and torment, continues to captivate and inspire, urging us to question the ways in which we perceive and treat those who look a certain way. It's really interesting to imagine what these shows were actually like. Thanks a lot for watching till the end. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with others. Stay tuned for the next one. Bye for now.